Welcome to Gazeon, where we uncover the stories the industry wishes would stay buried. Some music stars didn't just flirt with controversy, they detonated it. One infamous artist once brandished a weapon in a moment that shocked everyone around them, while another was cast out worldwide after a jaw-dropping live TV incident that ended their career overnight. These weren't simple scandals, they were explosions that sent shockwaves through the entire music world. Violent outbursts, public breakdowns, and moments of pure self-destruction turned rising legends into cautionary tales before the world's eyes. Today, we're counting down 10 of the most controversial black stars in music and the dark chapters that changed everything. Get ready. This list pulls no punches. Number 1, R. Kelly. Once upon a time, R. Kelly wasn't just famous, he was untouchable, a cultural force. The man who crowned himself the king of R&B and convinced the world it was true. His voice slid across the radio like silk, his swagger ruled the charts, and his songs became the soundtrack of graduations, road trips, first kisses, and wedding receptions. Tracks like I Believe I Can Fly and Ignition Remix weren't ordinary hits, they were national anthems of an era. But behind that golden voice and the glittering success lay a darkness the industry quietly tiptoed around. Rumors gathered like storm clouds, stories about teenage girls, hidden houses, manipulation, and a twisted web of control. Promises of opportunity turned into cages. Insiders whispered about a system built to trap, silence, and break women who trusted him. In 2008, a shocking video involving a minor pushed him into a courtroom. Somehow, against reason and reality, he walked out a free man. The public shrugged. The music got louder. Justice wasn't just delayed, it was defeated. And then came 2019. Surviving R. Kelly cracked the facade open. One survivor after another stepped forward, voices shaking, hearts steady. Overnight, the myth collapsed. R. Kelly wasn't misjudged, he was unmasked. Record labels dropped him, radio stations shut him out, streaming services were pressured to bury his catalog. The spotlight that once fed him suddenly exposed every hidden truth. The law finally moved. Charges of racketeering, kidnapping, and trafficking followed. In 2021, he was convicted in New York. More guilty verdicts arrived in Chicago. His future decades in a cell. Today, R. Kelly isn't just canceled. He's confined. His legacy, once glittering, lies in ruins. The man who once filled arenas now sits in silence. His fall, one of the most catastrophic in music history. A legend who destroyed himself, lie by lie. Number 2, Janet Jackson. Janet Jackson was never destined to live in her brother's shadow. She was a storm in slow motion, a force powerful enough to reshape pop culture. She had the voice, the rhythm, the charisma, and most importantly, the courage to speak loudly at a time when silence would have kept her safe. She started as the sweet, smiling girl on TV, singing light-hearted pop tracks. But everything transformed the moment she declared one bold word to the world: control. That album wasn't just a career shift, it was a proclamation. Janet wasn't waiting for approval, she was claiming her own throne. Through her music, she told women everywhere that owning your power wasn't arrogance, it was survival. She taught a generation that confidence wasn't a crime, and that women could be fierce, unapologetic, and undeniably free. Her songs became declarations of strength. Her videos were pure electricity, stylish, sharp, unforgettable. And when she hit the stage, she didn't perform, she detonated. Sold out arenas, global tours, and millions of fans made one truth clear: Janet Jackson wasn't following a path, she was building one. Then came the moment that shifted her career forever, the 2004 Super Bowl. 140 million people watched Janet dominate that halftime show, fearless, magnetic, unstoppable, until the final beat, when Justin Timberlake tugged at her costume and exposed her chest for barely a second. A moment so fast you could blink and miss it, yet the backlash was instant and brutal. They called it a wardrobe malfunction, but the fury that followed was intentional. Networks banned her. Radio stations erased her. The Grammys disinvited her. Her album disappeared from promotion. And while Janet took the blow, Justin walked away free, praised, protected, even invited back. The message was loud: when controversy hits, a black woman pays the price, and a white man walks clean. Janet's body became the battlefield for public judgment, but she did not break. While America turned its back, the world embraced her. She kept creating, kept performing, kept standing tall, and eventually, the truth became impossible to ignore. Janet Jackson had been sacrificed to shield someone else. But the story didn't end there. Because Janet? She's still here, stronger, wiser, eternally in control. Number 3, Trey Songz. Trey Songz, once celebrated as the crowned prince of R&B, a man whose name alone could send an arena into a frenzy. There was a time when his voice flowed like velvet, smooth and seductive, when one glance from him could make fans tremble. His slow-burn love songs didn't just play in the background, they shaped late-night fantasies and framed an entire era of modern romance. Trey didn't just perform passion, he became the embodiment of it. His posters covered bedroom walls like trophies. His music dominated every playlist, every party, every heartbreak, and his concerts, pure chaos. Women screaming, pushing forward, crying his name while he stood center stage, radiating confidence like he was born for the spotlight. But behind the charm, the fame and the glossy image, a much darker narrative was waiting to break the surface. In recent years, Trey Songz hasn't trended for his chart-topping records. He's trended for headlines that read more like warnings than praise. And these stories weren't about love or temptation, they were about fear. One woman stepped forward, then another, then many more, not to confess admiration, but to describe trauma. Stories of pressure, force, boundaries crossed, and moments where no held no power. A 2016 house party, a casino bathroom, different women, different circumstances, yet chillingly similar accounts that painted the same disturbing pattern. Trey's team insists these accusations are lies, women chasing fame, money, or attention. Some cases were dismissed, others couldn't proceed due to legal time limits. But when too many voices echo the same kind of pain, ignoring them becomes a choice rather than a conclusion. His fan base is now divided. Some remain loyal, defending the man they once believed was incapable of harm. Others have distanced themselves, unable to separate the seductive R&B star from the growing list of allegations. Inside the industry, the silence speaks louder than any statement. Collaborators have backed away. Labels have gone quiet. Because this story isn't just about Trey Songz, it's about power, protection, and how fame can shield the wrong people while burying the right voices. Trey once sang about love. Today his legacy is tangled in words like betrayal, fear, and silence. His songs still play, but for many listeners, they'll never feel the same again. Number 4, Tory Lanez. Tory Lanez, the rising star who ended up pulling the trigger on his own career. In the beginning, he looked unstoppable. Born as Daystar Peterson, the man the world came to know as Tory Lanez exploded out of Canada with the kind of versatility most artists only dream about. He could croon like an R&B prince, snap into razor-sharp rap verses, and shift between styles like he was built from pure rhythm. Every mixtape felt like a declaration, every hit a warning shot that he was coming for the crown. For a moment, it seemed like nothing could get in his way. Not the competition, not the critics, not even the pressure of fame, but talent can take you far, and ego can drag you further, straight into the fire. Then came that night in July 2020 in the Hollywood Hills, a night dripping with luxury, tension, and alcohol. What began as another star-packed party spiral slid into chaos. And when the smoke cleared, someone had been hurt, Not just anyone, but mega stallion shot in both feet. At first, the world treated it like a joke. Memes, rumors, denial. Silence wrapped the truth in confusion. Then Megan stepped forward with 3 words that cut through everything. He shot me. Suddenly, this wasn't entertainment anymore. It became a conversation about violence, accountability, and the way the industry treats black women who dare to speak the truth. Tory denied it endlessly, begging the public to see him as innocent. But the courtroom didn't bend to charisma. He was hit with heavy charges: assault with a semi-automatic firearm, negligent discharge, and possession of an unregistered weapon. These weren't minor missteps, they were career-ending bullets. By late 2022, the trial had transformed into a cultural battlefield. Fans argued like attorneys, celebrities chose sides. Social media split into rival camps. And then the verdict arrived: guilty on all counts. In 2023, the judge handed down a 10-year prison sentence. Just like that, one of the brightest rising careers in modern music collapsed in seconds. Collaborators distanced themselves. Radio stations went quiet. The industry that once embraced him now erased him. And behind the scenes, insiders weren't shocked. The temper, the ego, the volatility, it had all been bubbling for years. The bad boy persona wasn't an act, it was a warning. In the end, the tragedy was painfully clear. Tory Lanez didn't just shoot Megan Thee Stallion, he shot down his own future. Number 5. Kodak Black. Kodak Black, the Prince of Chaos. He didn't step into hip-hop wearing jewels or privilege, but somehow the streets placed a crown on his head anyway. Born Bill K. Capri in the rough corners of Pompano Beach, Florida, Kodak didn't rise through polish, he rose through wounds. His voice carried the cracks of a childhood carved by struggle, his flow slow but hypnotic, and his lyrics felt like raw confessions ripped straight from a bruised soul. He didn't try to decorate his pain, he delivered it plainly. He wasn't performing, he was surviving in real time. What set Kodak apart was never perfection. It was unfiltered honesty. He didn't craft a spotless persona, didn't pretend to be polished, didn't chase approval. Fans gravitated to him because he sounded like them, like every hardship, every heartbreak, every fight to stay alive another day. His earliest songs didn't blow up because they were catchy. They blew up because they were the truth of a young man trying to breathe between battles. But fame rarely arrives quietly. Kodak's rise came hand in hand with a criminal record that grew as quickly as his catalog. He didn't just rap about the streets, he kept getting dragged back into them. Armed robbery cases, drug charges, probation slips. His name stayed in the headlines as often as it hit the charts. For many people, jail time became part of his mythology, a revolving door he couldn't stop walking through. Every time he released a hit, another mugshot wasn't far behind. Free Kodak turned from a chant into a cultural slogan, almost a prophecy in itself. Yet beneath the memes, beneath the chaos, was a young man caught in a cycle bigger than music. He lived the very stories he wrote, a loop of pain, resilience, and consequences. And still, the music never died. Sold-out shows, viral singles, even behind bars, his voice carried for those who felt unseen. But the higher he climbed, the heavier the shadows became. Every comeback felt miraculous. Every arrest felt like a curse resurfacing. Because maybe some artists aren't meant to escape the storm. Maybe they're meant to survive inside it. Number 6. Tyga. Tyga was never the deep thinker of hip-hop. He didn't chase wisdom or legacy. He chased adrenaline, the nightclubs, the money, the spotlight. And for a stretch of time, he was the pulse of the party. His music thumped through Vegas lounges, college basements, and celebrity mansions. Bass booming, lights flashing, lyrics dripping with excess, lust, luxury, and late-night madness. He shot to stardom fast. He partied with the Hollywood elite, dated headline-making women, and unleashed club anthem after club anthem. But while the world saw the champagne and the neon glow, the cracks behind the scenes were widening. By 2021, the polished image began to crumble. His ex-girlfriend came forward with allegations that froze the nightlife energy he thrived on. Photos surfaced, bruises, injuries, accompanied by a story that turned shock into outrage. She claimed Tyga didn't just mistreat her emotionally, he physically harmed her. Cuts, swelling, fear, all, she said, tied to him. The internet erupted. Tyga's name flooded timelines, but not because of a chart-topping single. He walked into a police station and surrendered. The charge? Felony domestic violence. And that kind of stain doesn't disappear with a PR statement. His team went into denial mode. The case drifted from headlines into the quiet corridors of the city attorney's office. Rumors of reduced charges floated around, and then came the silence. No trial, no public closure, no real clearing of his name. Just a shadow that followed him everywhere. But that was only the beginning. Months later, Tyga released a chaotic, over-the-top music video, the kind he's famous for. Wild energy, wild visuals, but shortly after, two women featured in the video spoke out. They said they never agreed to appear fully nude. They claimed they were promised careful edits, protection, boundaries. Instead, their bare bodies were broadcast to millions without consent. No warning, no approval, just betrayal. They sued, describing humiliation, trauma, and a breach of trust that went far beyond entertainment. And honestly, this was part of a larger pattern. Lawsuits, accusations, stories of unpaid rent, repossessed cars, financial messes. It stopped looking like he was just a carefree party artist and started looking like someone who created disasters wherever he went. Sure, Tyga still racks up streams and YouTube views. The hits keep coming, but the scandals keep stacking higher. And now people are asking the questions he spent years dancing around. When do the headlines become louder than the music? When does the beat stop covering the chaos? His name still echoes, but these days the echo is bouncing off courtroom walls more than nightclub speakers. Number 7, Dr. Dre. Dr. Dre didn't just influence hip-hop, he defined it. This wasn't a man who simply produced records. He engineered eras, forged icons, and changed the culture at its very core. From the firestorm of NW to launching the careers of Snoop Dogg, Eminem, and 50 Cent, Dre wasn't the wave of the West Coast. He was the force that made the wave rise. His beats were cinematic earthquakes echoing through clubs, street corners, and entire generations. He built empires, shifted sounds, and later transformed a pair of headphones into a billion-dollar empire. To millions, Dr. Dre isn't just a producer, he stands as hip-hop nobility. But behind the platinum plaques and revolutionary bass lines lay a darker percussion the industry often tried to mute. In the early 90s, Dre's name became tied to something that had nothing to do with rhymes or rhythm. Journalist Dee Barnes accused him of a violent assault at a party, not a confrontation, but a beating. She said he slammed her against a wall and struck her repeatedly, all because of a TV segment he didn't like. Dre didn't claim innocence. He pleaded no contest, received probation, paid a fine, completed community service, and walked away without serving a day in jail. The case faded quietly, sealed behind courtroom doors. But Dee Barnes wasn't set alone. R&B singer Michelet, who once shared a home and a life with him, later described years of fear, black eyes, broken bones, and emotional terror. Rapper Terry B said Dre punched her at an award show. Decades later, his ex-wife Nicole Young recounted a marriage shadowed by that same explosive temper. And if you listen closely to those early Dre tracks, there's something beneath the glossy production, an undercurrent of rage, dominance, and misogyny woven through the music. Fans danced, speakers shook, history was made, but very few ever stopped to consider the pain pulsing beneath the beat. Behind the legend was a man whose violence echoed as loudly as his bass. Number 8. Doja Cat. Doja Cat didn't just enter the music scene, she detonated into it. One moment she was a quirky internet wildcard, posting bizarre, meme-ready clips from her bedroom. The next, she was a global force, chart-dominating, genre-twisting, and absolutely impossible to ignore. Her energy felt electric. Her aesthetic? Futuristic chaos in the best way. With a single performance, she could rap with razor precision, glide into honey-smooth vocals, dance like she bent gravity, and wear outfits that looked like they were borrowed from another dimension. Doja didn't chase trends, she created them. Awards lined up, fashion houses bowed. For a while it seemed like she wasn't just trending, she owned the internet. But fame in the viral era is a double-edged sword. The brighter the spotlight, the sharper the scrutiny. And soon the internet began excavating her past. And what surfaced wasn't clean. Old chat room videos re-emerged, tying her to online spaces accused of racism and hateful rhetoric. Then in 2023, a single photograph ignited a firestorm. Doja wearing a shirt featuring Sam Hyde, a figure notorious for alt-right associations. Fans didn't just question, they panicked. Why would she do this? The backlash was swift, unforgiving, relentless. Then came the twist no one expected. Doja didn't lash out at critics, she aimed at her own fans. She mocked her supporters, dismissed fans who called themselves kittens, and essentially told her audience she didn't owe them anything. It was, by every rule of celebrity survival, a catastrophic move, and yet, her career didn't set crumble. Even as rage burned across timelines, her music kept dominating charts. Her visuals remained shocking and exquisitely crafted. Her live performances stayed hot enough to set stages on fire. Doja was collecting awards with one hand while fanning flames with the other. But now, every tweet she posted felt loaded. Every outfit came with hidden meaning. Every lyric sparked debate. Was she spiraling? Or simply refusing to behave in a world obsessed with flawless perfection? To some, she embodies brutal honesty, an artist who refuses to perform beyond the stage. To others, she's steering her own downfall in real time. Either way, Doja Cat has become the mirror of modern fame itself, dazzling, dangerous, unpredictable, and always one controversy away from collapse. Number 9. Anthony Kiedis. Anthony Kiedis turned eccentricity into a performance style all his own. Wild hair whipping around, shirtless under the lights, radiating that feral, unpredictable energy only he could deliver. As the electric frontman of the Red Hot Chili Peppers, he didn't just surf the wave of fame, he was the crashing tide itself. Their concerts felt like chaotic poetry. Their lyrics fused funk, vulnerability, and California heat. Kiedis became more than a rock icon. He became a symbol of rebellion, freedom, and unfiltered cool. When he released his brutally candid memoir, fans praised him for his raw honesty, for peeling back the glossy myth of sex, drugs, and rock and roll. But buried between those pages and in his past were confessions far darker than the public ever expected. In 1989, after a Virginia show, a college student accused Kiedis of indecent exposure and unwanted touching. What should have been a night of music became a night of trauma. He was convicted of indecent exposure and sexual battery. No jail time, only fines. But this wasn't a quirky rock star stunt. It was a crime, revealing something deeply unsettling beneath the charisma. Years later, he sparked outrage again, this time with his own words. In his memoir, he casually described a sexual relationship with an underage girl, written with a stunning lack of remorse. What once passed for reckless rock storytelling now reads as chilling, a reminder of how easily fame once shielded the unforgivable. Fans who had idolized his honesty suddenly saw the truth from a different angle. The stories that once sounded edgy now echoed with something far more disturbing: exploitation, predation, and a staggering moral void. And yet, the Chili Peppers still sell out arenas, the albums still climb charts, and Keaty's still stands dead center, gripping the microphone like nothing ever happened. But history doesn't vanish. It clings to every lyric, every performance, every cheer. And it leaves us with a question that only gets harder to answer. How far are we willing to separate the art from the sins of the artist, simply because the music makes us feel good? Number 10. Talib Kweli. There was a time when Talib Kweli was the pulse of conscious rap, the voice that carried the weight of the streets and the soul of the people. While other artists bragged about fame, jewelry, and fast lives, Talib crafted verses that cut deeper: racism, revolution, black pride, survival. Alongside Mos Def, he helped create one of hip-hop's most revered bodies of work, a masterpiece that cemented his reputation as a poet with purpose. His solo albums carried that same steady fire, quiet, thoughtful, grounded in truth. But then came Twitter, and the platform that once amplified his message became the stage for his unraveling. In 2020, a woman named Maya Moody made a simple comment about the dating preferences of famous black men. It wasn't an attack, just an observation. Talib didn't see it that way. He fired back, hard, and he didn't stop. Days stretched into weeks as he flooded timelines with replies, arguments, and relentless back and forth. Some called it passion. Others called it targeted harassment, a public spiral happening one tweet at a time. Eventually, Twitter stepped in with the harshest penalty possible, a permanent ban for bullying and abusive behavior. Talib insisted he was only defending himself, but the damage was done. And just like that, the once revered voice of unity and social consciousness became a warning about ego, outrage, and the danger of losing yourself online. These legends rose, fell, and revealed the truths the industry tried to bury. And if you want more raw, unfiltered stories just like these, make sure you hit that subscribe button, turn on notifications so you never miss the next deep dive. Drop a comment, share your thoughts, and get ready. The next video goes even deeper.